All right, we are here for the Candidate Spotlight Series. Alex Mueller is joining us today, and real quick, just want to go over a couple of things. Early voting will start February 17th. Election Day is March 3rd, and we'll have some candidate forums for Congressional District 9, specifically related to this race. We'll be on February the 11th at 6 p.m. at the Dayton Community Center, and then the next night we'll have one for our two county commissioners races here in Liberty County, and our two district judge races, also at the Dayton Community Center at 6 p.m. And don't forget, if you haven't registered to vote yet, February 2nd is the deadline. We are here with Alex Mueller, Republican candidate, one of the leading Republican candidates, according to polling and information. And if you take a minute to introduce yourself, folks may not know you. And just...
Hi, so good afternoon. My name is Alex Mueller, running for the newly redrawn Texas 9. Quick background, I'm a West Point grad, defused bombs in Afghanistan. My husband's also a West Point grad, and we both chose to build our careers and raise our family here in Houston. So spent 6 years working oil and gas investment banking. Wasn't planning to get involved in politics, but with the special kind of a leadership we had in Harris County with Judge Hidalgo, saw government was everywhere I didn't want it to be, masking my 18-month-old daughter, revolving door at the courthouse. So the short answer was nowhere I needed it, everywhere I didn't want it to be, and thought and knew that if given the opportunity, I could fix those problems. Unfortunately, a very flawed election, didn't get that chance, but stayed very active fighting for our region ever since, and spent 2 years. I was appointed or voted on by 14 mayors of the surrounding cities of Houston to serve as public safety chair on Metro. And in that short time, very titular role, should be basically just a figurehead, only conservative on a 9-person board. Very proud to have worked so well with law enforcement, grew our police force 35% in under a year, so only agency in the region to be over strength, and made it more effective. So incentivized doing, citing violations, getting that kind of broken glass theory, and saw it, the dramatic performance. So that was my excitement with the seat, could take a pretty, kind of title figure and only role and get some really good positive change for the community with a congressional seat. What could you do if you were really focused with working with your local partners to make a difference for the district? So very excited of what the direction of the White House is, putting America first, and where I think the differentiator is I don't think our district here has been prioritized by the federal. A lot of this district was held by a Democrat, Sylvia Garcia, and she really focused on workers' rights. She didn't focus on the federal infrastructure spending. So Texas is the only state that's a donor state in terms of federal highway funds. It's because we've had all this growth and those formulas are backwards looking. Want to go and remind people we do have a big stick. We are Texas. We should be leading. Our delegation has really lost a lot of prominence in the last few years. And so want to work hard to make sure that we're delivering, obviously for America, but for this district first as well.
And that district, or that representation, I think, in Washington from Texas is actually going to change some more. There's a lot of retirements.
Unprecedented level. So 50-year watermark. We are having 10 seats turnover. And when you looked at us when Trump first took office, Texas was a leader. We chaired 7 committees. Now we're down to 3, Dr. Babin being one of the few chairing a committee. And just even with us having roughly 10 more Republican seats than Florida, for me, it's very frustrating that Florida's been punching above its weight political power, and we've been followers. And what I want to see is Texas, being a driving position, and within the Texas delegation, this region, because objectively speaking, most of the leadership seems to have been coming from West Texas lately. Jody Arrington retiring, chairing a very powerful budget committee. These critical issues, I want to not just be in the back seat. I want to be working, rolling up the sleeves to start tackling this. And when you've got the largest port in the country, trillion of GDP, how do we use that big stick to make sure we're directing funds for this whole district? Because the poor roadways unite the whole thing, unfortunately.
Okay. So if you are elected and you go to Washington, what areas of expertise do you think you'll have, and where would you like to
No,
apply
for sure.
those?
So, I'm the only one running with oil and gas experience. So you are representing the petrochemical hub. And understanding the significance of that industry you can just champion something better that you understand. So everyone can be a supporter of a cause. It's part of why I'm very proud to have all of law enforcement behind me. It's because of having the combat veteran that you can be a better champion for something when you have the tactical experience. It's hard to be a good advocate for something you have no experience in. Now, obviously, all of us in Congress are going to have to learn areas, and there's no one, it's too many topics. So it's kind of, what is your process? How do you try to learn new information? But I think having very strong oil and gas finance experience and now being a small business owner, so I've advised companies doing large corporate transactions, so understand how the markets work, and now more importantly, getting a baptism in fire by fire with the regulatory challenges of trying to operate a small business. So just under a year ago, my husband left banking and we started a welding supply company. So very much in line with a lot of the drivers of this region in terms of jobs.
What do you, if you gave us 3 issues right now, local issues, the things that you think matter most to the voters and how that you come across in your talks?
So you call it just infrastructure generally, and not saying, so depending on where you are, like if you're outside of Lake Houston, flooding's top of mind. Roadways throughout the district, doesn't matter where you are, is united. And then I call it, and those kind of help feed, obviously Colony Ridge being another topic. And just generally, if you're on the business community side, meaning, active with chamber, small business, how do you keep that port firing? Because we've seen other ports that are less significant. Corpus Christi, for example, they outcompete us on port depth, so that means they get more container ships. So the broad bucket that I care about, kind of switching it, is public safety, jobs. And why you care about jobs is because I want to make sure that we've got a good tax base for these local governments. That's one of the better things that I can do in terms of this district specifically. Very worried, obviously, Colony Ridge, a whole separate problem, but what it exasperates is the need to get some sales tax revenue. Liberty County cannot keep growing just by rooftops.
Correct.
You cannot sustain it, and so having so much experience, my political experience, obviously never been in Austin, but I was running to save a broken county. It's been a lot of years and got a lot of great training from people that once had one of the best run county governments. Solid 180, go the opposite direction to be objectively one of the worst in the country. So spending all that time studying what makes a good county work, there's certainly, particularly with Liberty County, it's like it could go one of 2 directions, right? We have a chance to preserve those great rural values. Those are the same kind of values that you fight for in the military and you honor, and have this be a place that companies want to move to and bring. Or it could get turned into, if just neglected, where because of, it's cheaper to build, right? Where you were just being the low-cost bedroom community of Houston, and nobody wants to see that. And so what I want to use the seat is how do I make sure you got the infrastructure backbone you need? How do I get the law enforcement resources, because you do need that in Colony Ridge, outside of the broader infrastructure? Like the fixing Cleveland ISD is a whole separate challenge that no one's going to have a quick fix, but being an political outsider, I don't mind talking about it. Others are going to avoid that topic because it's a weak point for them. But those are the kind of, how do you partner with local leaders to use this seat to advance the district goals? And then, unfortunately, more broadly, we've seen in the last few weeks, we do live in a very dangerous world and have had very extensive national security experience. So obviously people know I was in Afghanistan being a bomb tech, but thankfully we didn't have to go. But I led the Army bomb squad planning for if we went to Syria. So had teams stationed in Jordan, know what those briefings are like. Worked for several months helping in a prosecution of an Afghanistan bomb maker where we were trying to get him out of Gitmo and to go into New York, similar to what they did with Maduro. So I've had experiences of where those legal kind of frameworks work. And to be blunt, our international law is not compatible with modern terrorism. We're not fighting people in uniforms, and that's something that needs refreshed as well. But what's exciting about the seat is just a lot of various experiences I have had over the years, and just a unique opportunities I've had can put that knowledge to work and hopefully do something good, obviously, for the district.
Well, let's talk about Let's talk about affordability in the economy right now,
Yeah.
and what place you would have if elected in that role.
To move quickly, but job growth and keeping, making sure we've got jobs. And then the topic that is on everyone's mind right now is, they call it Obamacare or affordable care, but it's not affordable when you have to have government subsidized to make it work for people. We really have catastrophic sick care where it's so expensive that you're only going there. So very eager, in a true emergency it's insurance right at the end of the day. One of the problems with Obamacare is because they mandated so much coverage in combination with people can come in and out, that for those that have disqualifying issues, that should probably be the government alternative, and let everybody else have more of a private market solution, because what's happening is people are just signing up to get healthcare right when they need a ton of expenses, and you don't have enough of a healthy pool. So people that have been paying in, if that makes sense, you're getting people that right when they're catastrophically sick joining it, and all those costs are getting passed along. So how do you grow the insurance pool to drive those costs down? But that's part of a couple of those issues. But working on it, not just saying let's subsidize it, let's figure out what are those cost drivers so we can actually have affordable care. Because I wouldn't want to be in a position without insurance, and a lot of people are being forced to be in that. And it's a material decision I've had to think about with jobs is, what is the health care? But right now, what we've seen, particularly from the Democrat side, is let's just kick it down the road. We're not going to change any cost drivers. We're just going to keep spending money on it, even though we know it's something that's not working and we can't afford.
Immigration has reached a fever pitch.
Yes.
As of late. Obviously, headlines last week in Minneapolis. We've seen numerous camera angles, and of course, there's a different opinion to each one of those angles, right? But ultimately, ICE has a job to do, and I guess. Well, and
that's one of those things where I've had to operate under very challenging rules of engagement where it's not clear. I can tell you, being a bomb tech in Afghanistan, we never detonated an IED that was within the. We had the blast radius that the regulations prescribed. You could never do it. So every time, it's sad, and I know everyone working with me felt the same way. I was much more scared about some piece of frag hitting somebody and getting court-martialed because why did you detonate this when you shouldn't have? And it's because that's been the reality on the ground for the last however many months. But if you've never been in those positions and know those split-second choices and what it's like to feel threatened, it's really easy to armchair quarterback. And the best thing, at least that I saw just from on ground, is you need to stop, wait, let an investigation happen. The idea that so quickly you would see politicians armchair quarterback and try to indict before having the facts on the ground, to me, is very reckless. So I didn't have an issue being very clear with standing with ICE and a several thousand-pound vehicle hailing at you. Yeah, that's pretty threatening. But there is a culture that needs to be stopped, particularly by people that have no law enforcement or military experience, where they want to get this picture perfect answer every time. And the reality is, did you act with good reason, judgment? And let's get the full fact before we just rush to be a lynch mob.
Right. Now, obviously ICE actions have been seen here locally. Colony Ridge, circling back to that. And there were some peaceful protests when those actions took place, right? By all indications, right? So unfortunately, Texas has not seen the situation that was last week, something like that. But in Colony Ridge, those issues seem to bubble up in different lawsuits and things. It's a bigger conversation.
I think the problem with Colony Ridge is that it's hard. There is no Band-Aid, and so people want to put a bumper sticker win and say they solved it. And there's multiple. So there's obviously there's a crime element. We know that. There's a legal immigration issue, and then you just jumped a mass of people with no tax base and shifted costs to the rest of the county.
Correct.
Because that mud has not put in the fire extinguishers, the fire department, the law enforcement, and then you've asked for everybody else to just absorb that cost. And so, one of the things that I would like to do, hopefully with getting through campaign season and having that position as being, actually the Texas 9 representative, is we know this is growing. It is not solved. I don't care what kind of victory lap anyone wants to take. That how do we get leaders of all levels move past the finger pointing on it, and what do we need to solve it, because it's multifaceted. But it is very clear to me we do need federal support. If you don't even know, 4 officers on duty for 80,000 people, you don't know what's happening, which also means you don't know what's happening on the environmental side and what's getting dumped into our water. Are those septic tanks properly installed? We've had issues in the past, but like if you can't even secure a place, how are you going to tell me we're following building code?
Right.
So that's where I think could have a very big role of not something I'm afraid to talk about. Know that there are those that they don't want to. Obviously, Briscoe Kane, last thing he's going to want to talk about is Colony Ridge. And for good reason for him. But that's the nice thing of, I don't have my hands dirty on this. I just want to fix it.
Well, you come into this race with a big celebrity endorsement,
yes,
nonetheless, with Mattress Mac. I think it was support for Michael Berry. Also,
not official endorsement.
A platform,
but,
at least a platform for your announcement when you came into this.
Not a secret. I was a big supporter of me when I ran for county judge, and has continued to support and encourage me. And obviously very strong opinions about others in the race.
So I guess with that though, but locally, what support have you found?
So the first thing kind of launched the race was with kind of uniform support throughout law enforcement, from TMPA, the statewide, HPOU, all of their leadership. PAC isn't allowed to endorse, but Joe Gamaldi, obviously well-known VP of FOP, Pasadena, Deer Park, LaPorte, all move very fast, all in the district to support, and then most of your mayors. So very proud to have Mayor Hebert endorse me here in Liberty. I've been endorsed by current and former mayors in LaPorte, Pasadena, Deer Park, and all of Deer Park City Council. And then in Harris County, kind of our most senior Republican that we have is Commissioner Ramsey. And what he's well known for is wanting to build. He calls himself a dirt kicking engineer. But what I would say is the theme is these are people that want to see real results in the district. And then outside of it, obviously been very strong getting support with stakeholders around the port. So the Seafarers Union endorsed me. And the way that industry works is our competitive advantage, why we're getting things like Dayton getting looked at as that access and health to the port, is it's port industry labor. Other labor, which not a fan of, you look at Long Beach, they're destroying their port, they don't work. Houston's the port that runs 24 hours a 7 that doesn't have labor issues. So not for any kind of union, but when our labor is the kind of labor that's helping win us jobs and businesses, because they show up and work in pretty dangerous circumstances, like these Venezuelan oil tankers. That is something where having those good relationships matter.
Well, Venezuela, Iran, there's a lot of concern whether boots will be put on the ground, right? And where do you stand on that type of?
So to be very, and we can go more nuanced, and there is difference in a continuum. I am generally in favor for warheads on foreheads for people that are threats to us. Where is a very high bar is when you move over to boots on the ground, right? So people that are killing us, you have to have a sticker response because they continue to. So support the Iran strike, right? That was someone I also very much support. We're enforcing sanctions. We haven't enforced sanctions on Iran in years. Finally enforcing sanctions on Venezuela. So what the next phase in and what goes that is where, to me, it really becomes quite a bit higher bar. Nobody wants to have to put boots on the ground. I've done that myself. It should be an extremely high bar. But there's a difference from the weakness of the Biden administration, where they know no matter what you do, you won't respond. I alluded to the Syria planning. I mean, I was working at FORSCOM, highest levels of briefing, and we were told there was a red line if chemical weapons were used. We told the whole world there was a red line if chemical weapons were used. That's not my red line, but that's what we put out. And they used chemical weapons. We didn't do anything. That emboldens and incites our adversaries. So I think one of the strongest things thus far has been Trump's effective policy, where he is the peace president. That's what we want. And so We don't live in a world where you can just do nothing and no one's going to try to hurt us. People hate us around the world. That's the sad fact. So if we can continue to eliminate very targeted those that through many of options continue to kill Americans, then I'm in support. What I don't want to be doing is building schools in a foreign country when we need our own schools built. And that's the hard area and where you have to move beyond slogans. But that's kind of the continuum where I'm so very much in favor of those initial strikes. Now the question becomes what is the going path forward, and that should have a role for Congress if we are going to have to move forward. And I don't think there's much appetite from anybody for boots on the ground. I mean, I don't get that sense. I'm saying there's always fringe, but I just meant where this administration seems to be very focused on peace, and that is where we all want to be. As part of wanting to do public service was 10 years in the Army. I mean, the mission for Bomb Squad is you protect personnel and people. So they use us so you don't blow up the school. It's very demoralizing to be in another country watching us spend money to fix their freeway that they keep blowing up. It's like I just meant and then people are dying over it too. So that's kind of how I think about it.
I see. Well, again, we're going to have a candidates forum for Congressional District 9 candidates on February the 11th at 6 p.m. at the Dayton Community Center. So hopefully we'll have all 9 of you there on the Republican.
And I would just say thank you guys for doing that. The thing people don't most realize is you run for office and you're excited about it, or hopefully, that's why you're doing it. And it's incredibly hard to reach voters. So, if you're running for U.S. Senate, there's no shortage of media.
Right.
But all of these other races, and particularly, I know you guys do a lot of coverage of local races, don't have the ability to reach out and give their message. And so this is pretty important. These seats don't open up very often, that we should look and kind of closely evaluate everyone and see, does your record match your rhetoric?
So I ask one question then. What sets you apart from the other candidates? What do you think?
One, having a vision for the seat. I have not heard others articulate what they're going to do outside. We're all running on the Republican ticket. It's hard to imagine someone that's going to say they don't want to support Trump. But what are you going to do also? How are you going to make this seat impactful for this district? So I've been trying to be very clear. And do you have a skill set to do that? If you've never worked in the private sector, how are you going to be an effective champion for a district where one of the biggest issues is needing sales tax growth, and you've got the largest port, roughly 20% of Texas GDP? And so I just think having that broad experience, not only on the military side, which helps on the national security issues, public safety, but extensive corporate transactions. I understand the financial markets, and now understanding all the difficulties of small business, that I have just had a broad set of experience that is very relevant, I think, to being a good champion for this whole district.
What place are you on the ballot in Liberty County?
I got to double check. I'm in the middle of both ballots.
Yeah.
It must be 4/5, 5. They move 1 or 2.
So middle of the ballot.
I'm middle of the ballot on any ballot that you're looking at.
Okay. I'm trying to make sure we let folks know that that's, we're.
But I think, and you should read every name on the ballot.
Right. Yeah.
Take a look, and there's other ones.
Right.
And I'm not and if you don't like anyone, don't just randomly select one.
Right.
So I know some people like to do the roll of dice, but it's hopefully have a chance to earn your vote. Certainly trying to work hard and intentionally spending a lot of time in Liberty to make sure that everyone can promise everything they want. What I try to do is show with the work ethic that I'm not trying to phone this in. I do care, and I'm trying to also understand those key issues to be an effective advocate. So.
Well, great. Well, again, that candidates forum will be on Wednesday, February 11th at 6 p.m. at Dayton Community Center. The next night, we will have the Precinct 2 and 4 County Commissioners and the 75th and 253rd State District Judge races at 6 p.m. at the Dayton Community Center. Voters registration deadline is February 2nd. Early voting starts February 17th, and Election Day is March the 3rd. You want to make a final pitch?
No, just working very hard to earn your support. You can visit alexandramueller.com. Very proud to be the overwhelming choice of law enforcement and put my skill set and work ethic against anyone else in this race.
We appreciate it, and we will have more candidate spotlights for you here at the Vindicator.